cannot give you back your homes or restore your dead to life. But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Hey everyone, I hope you are all having a good day. Today I want to address some questions we get on the channel, and I felt that answering a few through a video would actually be easier and more efficient. If most of you like videos like this, I can start doing them regularly. Anyways, let's hop into it. Way Too High asks if we only have 13 episodes left before the show is over. For those of you that haven't heard, we most likely have 2 short seasons left. The showrunners David and Dan noted that nothing is yet set in stone, but what they're looking at is doing 7 episodes for season 7 and then 6 episodes for the 8th and final season. HBO is so thrilled with the success of Game of Thrones that they want to keep running it forever, but David and Dan are afraid of dragging it on. This is kind of ironic because there's so much stuff the show leaves out from the books that they couldn't possibly run out of material this fast. However, the show has obviously taken different routes from the novels. In the last season, they were ahead of where George R.R. Martin was in his series of A Song of Ice and Fire. They were condensing the books to pretty much 1 season each, give or take a few plot lines, so it makes sense why they are all ending after 8 seasons. Also, their production budget is getting thinned out due to all the CGI costs and actor payroll that they can't afford to make a dozen seasons. Not to worry though, HBO, George R.R. Martin, and fans all want to make a spin-off series after Game of Thrones wraps, and it's looking like they will make an adaptation of the Tales of Dunk and Egg. I have a new video about that if you want to check it out, links in the description. Next question comes from MZ Ovanus, asking if Varys has king's blood because his man parts were cut off and burned. So this one is interesting because we know that Varys was an orphan boy who was sold to a sorcerer for a very high price, and that sorcerer gave Varys a potion that made him unable to move or talk and emasculated him so he could use his sexual organs in a magical ritual and thus burn them in a brazier. So when he does this, the fire turns blue and a voice replied back. Afterward, the sorcerer had no more use for Varys and he threw him in the streets to die. This is when he fought to live and survive by selling the rest of himself for money until he learned his expert trade of spying and made a name for himself. What's interesting about this is that Melisandre hears voices from fire, presumably from the Lord of Light. She also has a sense for king's blood with Stannis, Gendry, and Jon. So the fact that Varys was sold for a high price and used for this ritual, which led to a voice calling out from the flame, makes us believe that his lineage is more nobly rooted than the average orphan boy. The most popular theory is that he is a Blackfyre, which is a cadet branch of the Targaryen house founded by bastard Daemon Blackfyre after his father Aegon IV legitimized him. Next question. Why would King Aerys have contact with the White Walkers? And how would telling him to burn them all in the past help the current White Walker threat? Well, many people believe that Bran has changed and influenced many things in Westeros now that we have seen what he did to Hodor. So at the current point of the story, Bran has learned a little bit about changing events in the past, but not much. It seems probable that the battle for the Dawn coming up would be better dealt with if prepared far in advance, and not start only now, especially since winter has already started. Some believe he has gone back in time to warn King Aerys of the threat, wanting to prepare Wildfire for the future, and since his abilities are not quite under his control, he messes up Aerys' conscious mind, as he did with Hodor. Wesley Solman asked why I haven't mentioned Euron Greyjoy yet in my Season 7 predictions. I am planning a video on just him because in the books his character is much more prominent and I want to explain his role in detail. But to follow up with your final sentence, I agree he will be a big villain if not one of the main villains in the next season. In the books, he sells his ship in the Jade Sea and gets so lost that his crew tied him up to prevent him from jumping overboard, and when they let him free he ripped their tongues out. So saying that, I think since we just lost Ramsay on the show, Euron will be the one to step in to be the next inhumane villainous character, just like Ramsay was after Joffrey died. So thanks for your question. Wolvie asks, so Bran is Professor X Omega level. Well, if any of these new theories prove true about Bran being former Starks in the past and it turns out he built the wall and he can warg into a dragon, then I would say Bran is like Professor X on God mode times infinity. So that guy may just be behind every major event in the history of the known world. Aldrasos asks, what if the White Walkers are connected to the Starks beneath Winterfell? In the books, the swords that kept their souls in the crypts were broken, right? Doesn't that correlate nicely with the sudden return of the Walkers? Good question. There's a lot of ideas about the crypts in Winterfell. Some say Rhaegar's harp is there, maybe Jon Snow's tomb. Lightbringer could be hiding out in there, an ice dragon deep beneath the crypts, and I think one of the most interesting is an evil god is imprisoned there called the Great Other, and also referred to as Winter. People think the reason the saying, there must always be a Stark in Winterfell, is actually a rule to keep whatever's down there at bay, and if Winterfell doesn't maintain a Stark occupant, the god will be released. The theory stretches out to show that the Starks were once kings and descended from the first men who fought the others thousands of years ago, and because of this, they brought the Great Other called Winter down and trapped the god. People say this is why it's called Winterfell, because it could be the location of where winter actually fell. So to answer your question about if White Walkers are connected to the Starks beneath Winterfell, it's pretty plausible. We don't know too much about the crypts. We know that the center point of the crypt definitely has a significant importance, but we don't know about what yet. So we'll have to wait and see. But I really like that idea. Okay guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you like these Q&As, and for the next one I will only take questions from this video, so be sure to post what you want to talk about. Have a great weekend and see you tomorrow.